Hello and welcome to the latest Hot Vendor Fireside. I'm here today with Raveesh Dewan, who's President and CEO of Joget. And we named Joget a one-office Hot Vendor in Q3 2022 because it goes beyond just being another low-code solution. The firm incorporates the core development features in the growing low-code development tool market. Get offers a model for user-created APIs, governance, security, and licensing that's truly innovative. We see Joget as an embodiment of decentralized development, allowing rich collaboration and co-development of applications while not sacrificing the performance, support, and security requirements of building low-code applications. Since software was first written, efforts have been focused on making it easier and more accessible to all. So, Raveesh, tell us how you're going about doing that and who for.
Yeah. So, David, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm glad to share my thoughts on Joget and answer your questions. And the way it all started was, I've been on each side of the table, being an entrepreneur earlier, and then in consulting, and then corporate America. So I've had the share of dealing with business applications from various perspectives. And my last stint at healthcare, I realized we are paying too much for applications and building applications and maintaining applications, and started this thought process on how we can leverage open source. I found this small open source and started figuring out the possibilities where it can go. And one thing led to another, and here I am leading the company. And owning it as well. So it has been my passion to see how we can reduce the cost and accelerate the innovation that is required to change the world into a digital culture. A lot of companies have business applications. They think that you convert a business application into a web application or a mobile, and it's a digital transformation. That's just a step one you have taken. There is a lot to do past that. So that has been my passion, and taking Joget to the world now.
So tell me, I understand the background was very much in the open source community. So maybe tell the listeners here today what it is that you decided was important that made you think, I'm going to take what's happening in this open source community and turn that into a business. What did you see coming? What did you see that was wrong in the market that could be addressed by the idea you had?
Yeah. David, I think two things that are important, why open source is important to me. It's the innovation catalyst in very simple terms. When you have a product that is bound by the imaginations of your own teams, it goes so far. But when you remove the barrier of your team and enable your customers to innovate in their own terms, it goes much farther than you can think of. They come up with things that you would not imagine. Joget is built on a very strong plugin architecture, and we get amazed from our customers, the things that they do. Once they get hold of how to put a plugin together, their barriers of our next release is gone. So what you will find with Joget is a lot of things that customer ask gets converted into a plugin that's on marketplace, and next new release brings or folds that in for the future customers as well. So I feel that open source is an innovation catalyst. And second most important thing is, as you share this journey across various customers, it helps us lower down the cost also, which is an important factor for anyone and everyone, when you're doing the delivery. At times, the cost does not matter. It becomes a cost of doing business. But we feel that the cost of innovation is also high, and we want to lower that down. That's the goal with open source. Another important thing or phenomena that I observe in the industry is any new technology that is game changing in this emerging technology world is open source. Talk about big data, talk about IoT, talk about Chat GPT, OpenAI, talk about any of the newer set of technology. Blockchain is a big piece for the emerging technologies. You will see all these have an open source grade, and that's what we very strongly believe in.
That's fascinating. I'm a big believer in the whole idea of open. I wrote a book called The 10 Principles of Open Business, and the whole notion of openness and connecting with others is obviously something that is becoming very mainstream now. It's very powerful. It's part of our own one ecosystem approach. It's understanding how different ecosystems, different partners in ecosystems can create new sources of value by working together, and they have to work in a very open source kind of way to do that. So you won't find an argument here against that. What I would challenge it with is perhaps something that you'll hear from time to time. If you're enabling everyone in the organization to create, to be innovate, to start writing code effectively, there's obviously risk. There's the governance challenge. Now, Joget has taken big steps to tackle that. Maybe you could explain to our listeners what precisely that does, how you've identified the challenge in the first place, and what you've done to solve it.
Yeah, actually, excellent question, David. I'll just bring in an analogy there. If you look at spreadsheet or SharePoint, and back in those days, Lotus Notes, those are meant for everyone's use. Moment you allow that, it grows and creates a mammoth of a problem. Now, spreadsheets everywhere, right? And it starts replicating data in ways that you didn't intend to do so, which is one of the biggest problem with any of these tools that enable end user to start leveraging and innovating. And that is very, very important aspect of what we are doing from Joget's standpoint. We don't want to limit you, but we want to give that insights to you from various environments. What is happening in your environments? Who are the key people who are leading these changes, right? Who are the key developers? Who are the key process experts? You can, Joget has a governance center. You can log into there, and you can connect all your environments in there, and you can see the activity in your dev and test, and who are your leaders and experts. You can create criteria based on certain parameters, and you can start seeing who are your shining experts that are coming that you can leverage to further govern within the organization. Those are something interesting. And the other important thing is replication of data. You have a customer data that you're capturing, and you have 5 different customer facing teams. They will have 5 different databases or applications capturing the same information, and before you know, you will be struggling with what is the source of truth. And that's something that we enable with the enterprise blocks within Joget to govern certain set of data that this should not be replicated. And if you want to use it, there is a process. Joget comes in with a process engine, so we have that process built in as a template for you in the governance. And guess what? You can choose to change it. The governance is built on Joget as well, so that enables you to modify the governance based on your organization. It's going to be different for different organizations, no matter what. There is no silver bullet, but yes, there is a mechanism to manage that, and that's what we have tried to do with Joget Governance Center.
So you've effectively baked in governance into everything that anyone might create with Joget.
Yes. You enable the governance center to start listening to your environment and start creating and limit the ability to move the applications from one environment to another environment through this governance framework. And now you can see all the activity that is going on and govern and kind of manage how the changes are being pushed into different environments. That's huge from governance standpoint.
Sure. And does that work for every kind of coder? So you've got your kind of your citizen developer, you've got your professionals. What's the difference? Can they all be accommodated on your platform?
Yeah, actually, a brilliant question, David. Just to share my perspective there, there are two big sets of solutions. One is no code solution, right? You do everything in drag and drop, and one is low code, solutions wherein professional developers have ability to write code. They just write less code because of the framework and all. Our thought process is very different in that sense. We want to enable you from no code to low code to pro code. The reason why I say that is when a business innovator is going to create an application and it's a no code application, they have drag and dropped and created this process and created this app for you, and it is highly successful. No matter what you do, it will become complex tomorrow, and it will have highly custom needs just because of the success of the app, and it will grow. So what we want to do is we want to enable that journey from no code to low code. You can tweak what is being generated with Joget. You can add your script to enhance it. And when it comes to pro code, which means a highly custom need, I want to be able to create a new plugin and enable a new drag and drop feature from overall standpoint. You have that capability as well. So you go from no code to low code to pro code, and all that is managed. And even in the governance center, uploading new plugins to the environment is completely managed. So that it goes across the board. I know there are a lot of folks tell us that, oh, you want to be focused on a persona. Yes, we are focused on an enterprise persona that happens to have these three, this journey, and we want to deliver that.
So who are you selling to? Who comes and signs on the dotted line?
Excellent question, David. We are selling to large enterprise organizations, medium-sized enterprise organizations, the ones that really want to take their dollars, an extra mile, and enable themselves for delivering fast. In some cases, delivering at a lower cost also. A lot of large enterprises that we have are more innovative and I would say open to newer and emerging technologies, and hence they adopted us. Just sharing an interesting fact, we didn't have any sales person in our organization till mid last year. It was purely by virtue of the enterprises who are more forward-looking and saw what technology can bring to the table, and they just adopted Joget. And being an open source, we get thousands of downloads a month, which eventually they experiment and become a more informed customer, if you will.
Okay, and if you were to look ahead at the year we are now just about firmly entrenched in, what's happening? What's happening in the market? Now, it's clear there's lots of challenges going on globally: inflation, war, fuel prices, and it's having some recessionary impacts.
Yeah.
Are people turning to products like your own as a way of reducing their costs, keeping the lights on when maybe they're short on coders, for example? Maybe they're having to cut heads. What are the conversations you're having with the market?
Yeah, David, there is a lot going in the market. There is resource crunch in the market, resources to deliver applications. There is a high demand of digitization. I think this whole pandemic, started or ignited this need, across the board. And there is a need to go to digital culture, if you will. And the other phenomenon that we are observing is we keep hearing about recession, but I'll tell you what, the companies that are going to cut their IT costs to reduce the cost are going to be the ones who will suffer, because they are this is not the time to cut the cost. This is the time to maximize your dollars for what you're doing. And automation. You talk about. We hear a lot of times customer want to do this, but they don't have the resources to deliver it. And that's what is game changing with applications or platforms like Joget. It's not just building the application; maintaining is equally important. And getting it done and maintaining it over time. We want to make that whole journey easier. That's the goal with Joget that we have. Now, another important phenomena, I don't know whether you've heard about this or not, is there was a time when these mammoth applications were built, across various large enterprises. It is coming to a point wherein change is required so fast that mammoth will not work. You have to disintegrate that into multiple smaller, smarter applications that can talk to each other. And I see that phenomena happening across government. I see that phenomena happening across all large organizations. They had this big, huge, applications. They are not able to, sustain that. And, it has to be broken down into pieces. And I would say smarter pieces to talk to each other, to deliver higher business value, and business agility that they need.
So kind of atomization so that you can reconfigure to be a better fit with the actual environment that's emerging at pace, as we were seeing. You mentioned the pandemic, impact of that on driving people towards digitalization, stuff they'd been planning to do for years, but suddenly found they had to do. You, I think, were involved with a Tech for Humanity program during, or was impacted by the pandemic and people needing that. So I wonder whether you could explain what that involved for Joget.
Yeah, actually, David, this is something subject near and dear to my heart. Pandemic changed everything. If you were if your business was good in pandemic, you have changed. If you were doing bad in pandemic, you have changed, no matter what. Every single business was impacted. And one of the ones that were hit hard were these not-for-profit organizations. They didn't have any IT budget. They didn't have, or very, limited IT budget. And when everything went remote, it was difficult for them to operate. So what we did was, we started a Tech for Humanity program for these, not-for-profits. And we have till date funded various not-for-profits. And I feel like some of the larger enterprises should learn from them how they take their dollar farther than you can imagine. We extended. I'll give an example. We extended Joget license to one of the Doctors Without Borders back in France. They had no IT staff, just volunteers, and some of these. They created a lab management system out of it. And we did the same with CRM, which is the Malaysian Cancer Research and Makna. And if you see the work that they are doing with that, it is amazing. It is life-saving in some cases. So yes, we do have a Tech for Humanity program for any not-for-profits at a substantially discounted license, and I think a 25 user license without any cost, which is plenty for any not-for-profit to pick up and run with it. And what they see is, when they implement, there is one in India, Catalyst. Amazing. They have built a system for training the girls, with attendance and whatnot, all QR code scanning. It's amazing what they have done. So that's something I believe is a story that can go back to the mainstream to learn from how they maximize their dollars when it comes to IT.
That's interesting. That yes, of course, it's a lower cost way for not-for-profits to actually engage in the digitalization journey everyone else has to go on. But what made you want to give it away like that? What was your inspiration?
Yeah, I think, David, as I mentioned, one of the grain that Joget has is open source and being open. And it's not just about making profits. It's about making a difference in the community. And I strongly believe that when we give this away and we hear from them what they are doing, it is amazing, and it's heartening to see what they did with the platform, with very limited resources, and made it extremely efficient for themselves. And that brings us back a lot of ideas how else we can help our existing customers. So it's not just giveaway. We learn a lot from them.
Fantastic. That warms my heart to hear that. It is this idea of paying it forward, maybe, that you're giving something away. You do benefit from it. It's not just a charity. It's doing it because there's benefit for both parties. So let's have a little think now about what's coming next for you, because that's obviously been a very busy time. We know what the challenges are like for this year. You mentioned getting involved in blockchain. Perhaps you could explain why that is and where you think that might take the business for the next few years.
David, we at Joget, we are always looking forward. If you look at if you search for open containers and low code running or containers, you will find us leading that journey. And we want to do the same for any and all emerging technologies, if you will. So we are working with the HBAR fund Hedera, building a Hashgraph application studio for them, so you can create dApps without coding. We want to abstract that blockchain piece, make it easy for anyone to configure, connect to the chain, and start innovating in very simple terms. Blockchain is not a tech problem; it's more of a business problem. How would you solve that business problem? I think the business innovators are at the forefront of that, because it's going to change the business model that you operate in, and giving them that ability to drag and drop and create something functional, connected to the chain, real time. That's what we are doing. With Hedera, we have also built integrations with Cardano, Ripple, Hyperledger Fabric. This is just to enable the community of innovators who are waiting for a blockchain developer for them, which they will not find. Because blockchain developers are more interested in doing the core work with blockchain, not building business apps around it. And that's one reason why the adoption is lagging also. And that's something that we are trying to make it easy. In any business community, and they're thinking about blockchain, let them try this out, let them come up with the application, not wait for a developer to come in. And we are doing the same with IoT. We are, partnered with Zebra, so on and so Samsara. One of our customer, and this is amazing, one of our customer back in Ireland built a shipping solution which tracks through IoT the whole journey of a high valued shipment, starting from your truck to your ship to air, back to the land, to the destination. And any deviations, they start getting alerts because it's a high valued shipment, all through IoT and Joget integrations. I hear a lot about ChatGPT. In fact, I requested ChatGPT to write a poem on Joget. I'll share that. Very, very exciting. So the possibilities are endless. What we are looking for is how we can help. There are a lot of questions about, can ChatGPT code and all that. I think it's more important to get a meaningful work done. The synthesis becomes more difficult than, the human mind processing all that data and synthesizing is the biggest problem. Writing code, we are trying to make it easy from low code, no code, but there is a lot more to go beyond that. Leveraging the technology, as I say, I can cut grass with scissors. It's not meant to do that, right? So leverage the tool for the right kind of problem to solve. A lot of times I go into blockchain discussions and they're talking about, we want to do this, we want to put it on blockchain, and only to find out you really don't need blockchain. You use a database. What problem are you solving, right? It's fascinating to put it on blockchain, but will it solve the problem that you're trying to solve? So very interesting ways to look at this. I mean, we are exploring ways to synthesize, the data that you're capturing in using the applications and make it more intelligent for you using Chat GPT and all.
I guess ultimately, this journey towards making it easier for humans to do things with software ultimately ends up in the idea of that I think ChatGPT is headed towards this kind of, I ask it to do something and it just does it, which I guess is the next step on the journey for the whole low code, no code piece. Is I simply ask, I simply tell some form of technology what it is I want to do, and it works out the best way to deliver that for me.
Yeah.
Is that a journey you see no code as being part of, or is that going to be a separate tradition at the end of the day?
I think it'll merge, David, one day, because there are two things that I see is demand. It is we talk about developer shortage today. It is going to worsen. Believe me, it's going to worsen with the demand that is coming forward. A lot of things that were done earlier, last 20 years, have to be undone in a new way, no matter what. And every customer is wanting to think, oh, how can I reuse my existing assets? Guess what? Those were architected for an old architecture. Talk about cloud containers. I mean, the whole thing has changed. Application architectures, everything has changed. Your tools have changed. Your infrastructure has changed. The way you build the application has changed. You might be able to do it at a lower cost to replicate that application now compared to, just reusing that. So that whole thing, when enterprises realizes I can do it faster, I can do it cheaper than to modify that application and build it in a new way, this whole demand will shift in a very different way. And we will have no other way to fill this out by augmenting, ourselves. There's no other way out. So that's where I see a lot of possibilities of leveraging these newer technologies.
So, Raveesh, is there a final message you'd like to leave our audience with, that perhaps something that they should do this year if they haven't already?
My only suggestion and recommendation is, if you are a business innovator, if you are that developer, if you are that entrepreneur who has been waiting for resources, your journey need not wait for that. Pick up Joget, pick up a low-code, no-code tool, and give it a try. You will be surprised by yourself how much you can do within very short period of time. We have seen customers go live in 2 to 3 weeks, David, now. Believe me, the possibilities, the art of possible is there, and you will surprise yourself is my suggestion to enterprises. And instead of being paranoid, will it do this and will it do that and will I be locked in? Give it a try. You will surprise yourself no matter what.
Raveesh, I think that's a fantastic place to leave this today. Really appreciated your time. I hope the audience has got as much as I have from this conversation. So thank you very much indeed. We'll be watching Joget with real interest over the next few years, and wishing you every success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. And thank you for the audience as well for listening.